Imagine moving your family to a peaceful remote farm in the early 1800s, thinking that you're settling into the new quiet life, but instead of peaceful life, you find yourself at the center of the most disturbing hauntings in American history, the Bell Witch. Welcome to the second episode of The Horror Story. I am Leneha, a spirit so terrifying that even the future president, Andrew Jackson, was terrified witnessing it. What did the Bell Witch want? Why did it tormented the Bell family? Today we are going to unravel the darkest secrets of the Bell Witch. Let's get started. In 1804, John Bell, his wife Lucy, and his children left North Carolina and settled into the rolling farmlands of Adams, Tennessee. They were hardworking and devoted. They bought a large property alongside the Red River and started living there. For years, the things were quiet. The farm thrived, the children grew, and everything was beautiful. Until 1817. The peace shattered. That was when the first sign of trouble started settling in. It was a late summer afternoon in 1870. John Bell was walking through his cornfield, where he saw a dog lurking around its field. He approached the dog when he realized that it was not a normal dog, it was very big than a normal dog. And this horrendous creature had a body of a dog, but its head was of a rabbit. This monstrous hybrid was directly staring into John Bell's eyes, with glinting red eyes right in the middle of the afternoon. And then, as it appeared, it disappeared right in front of him in the woods, just like this. John, a practical man, couldn't believe his eyes. He thought that his mind was playing tricks with him, and he did not tell anyone about it. But little did the Bell family knew that this was just the starting of the hauntings. Not long after John Bell's encounter, his eldest son, John Bell Jr., encountered something really strange. While he was out in the woods hunting, he saw a really enormous bird in the woods. It perched on a branch high above him. It wasn't like any bird he had ever seen. It had really big wings, and that bird was looking right into his eyes. Its wingspan was immense, and its dark eyes watched him with eerie intelligence. For a moment it seemed frozen, as if it was observing him as intently as he was observing it. Then, without warning, the bird took off its enormous wings, cutting through the air with a force that rattled the leaves around him. It was gone, just as quickly as it had appeared. John Jr. knew that whatever this thing was, it was not normal, and it was related to the hauntings that were happening in the farm. Among all the members of the Bell family, it was Betsy, John's youngest daughter, who suffered the most through the entity's wrath. At first, it started small. Betsy, then just a teenager, would hear whispers in her ear at night, feed indistinct murmurs that seemed to come from nowhere. But as the weeks passed, the whispers grew louder, more malicious, until she could make out the voice. Betsy, it hissed, I'm watching you. Then came the physical attacks. One night as Betsy lay in her bed, she felt something yank her hair with brutal force. She screamed, but when she looked around, there was no one in the room. The attacks became a nightly ritual. She was slapped, she was pinched, until there were bruises, and she would feel an invisible hand choking her every night. The entity seemed to have special hatred for Betsy. It used to mock her during the day and endless torment at night. Things got really worse when she was engaged with a guy named Joshua Gardner. Betsy had known Joshua Gardner for years, and the two had fallen in love. And when they announced their engagement, that was supposed to be a joyous occasion, right? But Kate, the entity now calling itself openly that, it did not sit right with her. And Kate's attacks got vicious by night. Betsy would wake up in the middle of the night screaming. Her hair tangled, her skin red and bruised from raw invisible hands, bruises on her skin, and Kate's whispers were no longer whispers now. They were really loud, screaming voices. "You will never marry him," Kate shrieked. "I'll see to it." The pressure became unbearable. Kate's attacks were now filled with venom. Betsy could not take it because now she was terrified that if she gets married to Joshua, something bad is going to happen, and she was not ready to deal with the consequences. She started falling ill from the exhaustion and the torment that she used to suffer from at night. No matter where she went, the entity followed, never giving her a moment's peace. Eventually, Betsy was forced to break off the engagement, fearing that Kate would kill her or Joshua if she continued. The Bell family could only watch in horror that once that lively Betsy had changed into a pale, no more smiling girl. While the Bell family bore the brunt of the witch's wrath, Kate also made her presence known to the neighbors in Adams. Incredibly, Kate wasn't just a tormentor. She was a gossip. Visitors to the Bell house often reported hearing Kate's voice, chattering away about the latest town news and repeating conversations that had taken place miles away. No one knew how she gained such information, but it was clear that Kate could hear and see far beyond the Bell property. Kate also had a strange fascination with religion. Whenever people attempted to pray or read the Bible in the Bell house, she used to interrupt and she used to say the scripture out loud. But instead of supporting the Bible's teachings, Kate twisted the words, mocking the people and engaging them in blasphemous arguments. Many were left shaken, unable to explain how a disembodied voice could know so much scripture and yet defy its very meaning. Dean, a man enslaved by the Bell family, was not immune to the terror of the Bell Witch. One night as Dean was walking home after a long day of work, he felt a presence following him through the woods. When he turned around, he saw a massive black dog, its eyes glowing like burning embers in the darkness. The dog made no sound but trailed him all the way back to the Bell house, vanishing into the shadows just as he reached safely. But the dog wasn't the worst of it. On another night, Dean encountered a shadowy figure that appeared out of nowhere, towering over him like a giant. The figure didn't speak, but its presence was enough to fill him with dread. Dean ran as fast as he could, not stopping until he was back within the safety of the Bell home. Like the rest of the family, Dean soon learned there was no escape from the entity's grip. Not everyone in the town believed in the Bell family's claims. John Johnston, their neighbor, they never believed them. He was a devoted Christian, and him and his wife decided to stay night at the Bell's mansion. That night, as the couple lay in the bed, the familiar knocking sounds began. At first, James tried to ignore it, but as soon as the knocks grew into pounding, shaking the walls and rattling the windows, then the blankets were ripped off their bed, and something began pulling at James' clothes. He tried to stand firm in his faith, recited Bible verses out loud, but the entity only laughed, a cold, mocking laugh that filled the room. By morning, James Johnston was convinced the witch was real, and it was unlike anything he had ever encountered. He left the Bell home, spreading the word to the rest of the town. Soon the legend of the Bell Witch had spread far and wide, drawing visitors and investigators from all over the region. John Bell's health began to deteriorate in 1820. He was facing with strange symptoms for months. His face would twitch uncontrollably, his speech became slurred, and his limbs grew weak. Doctors were baffled, unable to find a cause for his illness, but the Bell family knew that Kate had something to do with it. Kate had made her intentions clear from the beginning. She wanted John Bell dead, and now she was making good on that promise. As his condition worsened, Kate's taunts grew louder, mocking him, predicting his death. On December 20, 1820, John was found unconscious in his bed. A strange vial of liquid was discovered near his bed, and nobody knew where did it come from. And when a few drops were given to the family cat, the cat died right away. John Bell never regained consciousness. Kate took full credit for his death, laughing and gloating that she had finally rid the world of him. Even during his funeral, Kate's voice echoed through the crowd, singing mocking songs and celebrating the victory. Even after John Bell's death, the haunting didn't stop completely. Kate continued to torment the Bell family, though her presence lessened over time. She promised to return 7 years later and did, visiting John Bell Jr. for 3 weeks before disappearing once more. To this day, the legend of the Bell Witch persists, and many believe that her spirit still haunts that area, particularly near the Bell Witch Cave. To this day, the Bell Witch is believed to haunt the area around the Bell family farm. The Bell Witch Cave near the old farm is a popular site for paranormal investigations. Many who visit claim to experience eerie phenomena, disembodied voices, weird visions, and stuff like that. They still say that the Bell Witch is watching them from the shadows and is waiting to torment the living. But what did the Bell Witch want? So what was the Bell Witch? A vengeful spirit of a wronged neighbor? A poltergeist? Or something far darker, born from the shadows of the ancient evil? Thank you for joining me today as we unraveled the America's most disturbing and haunting legend ever. If you're brave enough, do visit Bell Witch's Cave, but don't go alone. Until next time, stay vigilant and beware of what lurks in the shadows. Good night.